Maurice Nicoll, Psychological Commentary, Volume 2, based on his work with Gurdjieff. Group meeting in Birdlip, January 7, 1945, Commentary on Memory, Part 6. And on one occasion, Mr. Ouspensky said that it was quite useless to adapt to this work as you would adapt to in any situation in life. If any of you can think you can merely adapt to the work, you will find sooner or later that you are no longer in the work, and in fact, you have never been in the work. Now, this change of memory necessary in the work can only come about, as was said, by self-observation done sincerely and done according to the directions that the work gives us. If this is done, then a new kind of memory of your past life begins. You become a witness of a very strange effect, namely, that the whole of your past life begins to be changed for you. The reason is that every particle of memory begins to be ordered in the right way. You begin to know for certain that there is another interpretation of your past, and it has always been there, not that you have not been conscious of it. It's always been there, only you have not been conscious of it. And this means that there is another memory that has been acting on you without your knowing, and that has never tried to speak to you in any violent form. You realize that with a certain, shall I say, agony, that it was not so, that it never happened like that it is not true. And this word that I use is not wholly a painful thing. All enlargement of consciousness is a kind of agony, but it has its own sense of release from prison, its own feeling of freedom. I would say that our ordinary memories, based on how we have always taken things, how we have thought certain things were right and certain things wrong, constitute one of our greatest imprisonments. Are we not imprisoned in our personal memories? What does transformation mean? All psychological transformation means to take things in a new way, and unless we can take things in a new way, how can we escape from our own prisons, which so much depend on memories of the past and on the way things that we're taking in everything at this moment, quite mechanically, thinking it is the only way to take everything. Once more, I remind you that this work is about thinking in a new way. Have you tried to remember in a new way? Everyone is a result of this memory. Unless the work acts on you now like a ferment, you will be carrying on in your life in this work in the same way that your personal memory is laid down for you. And so the past will create the future, and the future will be the same as the past. Why should this be so? It will inevitably be so because your reception of life and its incidents and events will always produce the same mechanical results. And so the tapestry of your life will continue to be woven in exactly the same way as in the past. If you have no self-observation, you cannot act more consciously at a particular moment when things are difficult. You will continue to lay down in yourself the same pattern. You may flirt with the work as many people do. You may think it is interesting, but remember that the work octave starts with evaluation as do, and application of the ideas to yourself as re. Certainly, this is a big step. Remember that you are the subject of the work, you yourself. The work is not something outside you. It has to come into you, or you have to put it inside yourself and begin to live from it and view everything that you do and think and feel from the power of the work. When this begins, your whole memory of everything, of yourself, of other people, of your past tribulations. And remember that everyone makes so many internal accounts in life that each person secretly feels that he or she is only has tribulations, will begin to alter. This is psychological transformation. You may have heard that this work is sometimes called the good news, a word that is translated here. What is the good news of this work? Why is it good news? Think what this means. Think, for example, of the phrase, we have a right not to be negative. Is this good news? Is it good news to you to realize you are not the person you supposed yourself to be, and that you need not be bound down by this imaginary I to this false personality? Is it good news to you to think that there is another meaning, that life will explain everything? Everything that you have in you, by creation, possibilities of reaching real I, something so utterly full of meaning that when you begin to touch it, that none of the external or none of the events of external life can drag you down? Is this good news or not? Or do you prefer to remain glued to life and all its tragedies and continual uneasiness and all its feelings of dissatisfaction? Does it give you something to hold on to when you realize that this work can bring you to a new feeling of why you exist? Now, unless you change your memory, you will not change your habits of feeling and thought.